Whose show is this? Yours? Yeah, of
Uh,
course it is.
hey, I'm Quincee. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am here just to provide support for your chair, for your business behind the chair. And I'm here with Mike Banks today. He is the owner of the Art Gallery Image Studio. And I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about himself.
Oh, okay. So my name is Michael Banks, as she said. I have been in this industry, the barber beauty industry, for almost 2 decades, since I was a teenager. Currently, I'm a salon suite owner in Oak Brook, Illinois, and I went to Salon Suites to kind of start my business over so I can rediscover a lot of what I did wrong and so I can begin to implement things in the right way. In the past 5 years being in the salon suite, my business has transitioned where I've gotten into mentorship and I've gotten into opening up my space to be transparent about things I have going on in my business to help other barbers and and even hairstylists in the industry with growing and retaining a profitable clientele.
Nice, nice. So as you guys heard, Mike has been in the business for 20 years. So I know you have seen a lot of transitions as far as like trends in the beauty industry and the way that business is just run. I know most recently we have suites now. So we've gone from the only option being a corporate salon or a booth renting space to now being able to own your own suite. So tell me a little bit about the biggest transitions you've had to make in your business from when you started to kind of when you started getting some momentum going? Because I know, Mike, you have a huge clientele. I know you have a huge clientele because whenever Ryan, who is my husband, goes to book an appointment, he needs to book like weeks in advance.
Yeah, that's true.
um,
That's
so,
true.
what have you seen just in this industry and how it's changed?
So transitioning over into the suite, the things that I've noticed now is that with social media, YouTube, and the just the access to information, um, everyone can do great hair now. You have so many great hairstylists and hair colorists where when I first got into the industry and I was working at a really popular barbershop, I was able to rely on the name of the barbershop that was on the storefront.
Gotcha.
Then it got to the point where, it was a lot of shops at a particular time where in the neighborhood that I'm from, there were over 28 shops within a 5 mile radius.
Oh my goodness.
And everybody was doing hair and competing with one another. And so you kind of had to become a type of a specialist where you were known for something rather than just being the person that just does hair. And now moving into the suite, the thing that I've noticed now that's the biggest challenge that is, especially moving into the suite, you really have to take control over the way you market yourself. You no longer can be like, I'm the person that does gray hair, because now with access to information, you got teenagers doing hair out of the house and producing the work that people want to see, that people are paying for. So now, and then you can't rely on all my licensed hairstylists now because the average consumer is like, so what? My nephew in the house can give me the same fade that I'm looking for. All I care about is that.
Yeah.
You gotta, so what I'm noticing now is the access to information is you have to really take control of how you market yourself, how you brand yourself, but more importantly to take into consideration the consumer, our customers are able to see more now. They see that they have more options now. So now they really want to be sold on, why should I be coming to you? Especially somebody traveling to me. Why would I want to wait these many weeks to come see you when I can go to somebody that works down the street that can do the same work?
Yeah. So let me just point out a distinction here. Mike said he came into the game, when you could just rely on the name of the shop. Did you do like paper, like notebook booking where you kind of penciled in your clients? Okay.
Well, when I first started off, I was just doing walk-ins. Next, next, next. And then what made me get into making appointments with paper was because me writing down someone's name and their number, I needed to do that because I was the youngest one in every shop I ever worked at.
Oh, wow.
I was the youngest one, and people were leery about coming to me. So I wanted to do something that indirectly says that I'm serious about what I'm doing and build some type of trust, because most people will overlook me.
Just by being the youngest person in the
Being
room.
youngest, and then by me being a cosmetologist doing women's hair, I would naturally get overlooked.
Gotcha. So when you came in the game, there was paper booking. When I began my career, YouTube was becoming a thing. Online booking is a thing. People were no longer, walk-ins is kind of scarce now because just in for like safety reasons, and you have to get buzzed into salons now for the most part. So me and Mike has probably had to make more adjustments in his career than I have at this point, because when I came in, all of these things were already a big deal. Yeah. So I feel like, kind of what you're communicating to me is that you have to figure out a way to communicate your value to clients.
Absolutely.
So in this environment where clients can pretty much find the information they need anywhere, you have to deal with a market that kind of seems like it's oversaturated, because everybody can do hair. People are trying to do stuff at home that they probably shouldn't be doing, but they're doing it anyway. So how do you communicate your value to a client or a potential client?
First thing that I did was I had to make an assessment, a real assessment of what I have to offer. What am I good at? What am I okay at? What do I need to improve on? After I literally wrote the stuff down. Once I was able to see what it is I was able to offer, how I created value was, instead of me trying to promote how good I was at a particular service, I started looking at the ideal client that I wanted to service. And I looked at what were their needs. What would the needs of a Ryan Booker need for what he does in his career, in his business.
So it was less about your talent.
Less about my talent. Gotcha. And more about what did I have to offer that can help him get to where he wanted to go.
Gotcha.
I knew that your husband, he's talking about him, so might as well. like someone like Ryan, him being a musician and a composer and having groups, his appearance was going to be very important for him. So when he got into doing photo shoots, I wanted to make sure that, in my mind, how could I give him a haircut that wasn't trending, that where he would look back and be like, why did I have my haircut like this? Could I cut his hair where he can be proud looking back, where his look can be timeless?
Gotcha.
Especially the first video that he was in. Then I started being concerned, what do I know and understand about, camera angles and lighting, that, okay, when I'm serving him, when he's in the chair, I'm mindful that he's going to be turning like this, he's going to be turning like this, and we're talking about it, having conversation about what he want to do, where he feels like this environment that he's in, getting groomed in, is a vital part of him getting to where he needed to go.
Gotcha.
Not optional. I never wanted to be an option.
So it's almost like, you say you never want to be an option. I think that is just so cool, because like you said, the market is kind of saturated with people just kind of doing the same thing. So it can't really be about your talent. And that's one thing that I had to learn very quickly, because I would ask you, I would be like, I'm going to quit doing hair. I don't like it. It's draining. And you would be like, well, what do you like to do? And I had to think about what I like to do. Do I like to do color? Do I like to do silk presses? Do I like to cut hair? Do I like working with women? Do I like working with men? What is it that I want to communicate to that client, and then creating that avatar of what client wants the service that I'm giving?
Yeah.
Because you're talking about a clientele being people of influence, people that want that are always in front of a camera, or in some way, shape, or form, the world is looking at them.
Yeah.
So they have to come to you because you're going to make them ready for the camera at all times.
Yeah.
Now, is that most of your clientele now, or?
Half of my clientele is people who are entrepreneurs. They work for themselves, self-employed, and they're not necessarily in front of a camera, although that's where I would like to be.
Gotcha.
My ideal client is that comes to see me now are people where stressful environments where they take in charge of their own income. They're in sales, they're in real estate, they're doing something where they don't clock in.
Gotcha.
So that type of person is always working, he's always moving.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I like that type of person is because I'm able to create an environment where it's not about the haircut, it's about him having 45 minutes to an hour to escape.
Gotcha. So for your clientele, yeah, you're getting a haircut, but it's really the experience. How do you know how to set up the experience for your ideal client?
Talk to my clients. What are they into?
Gotcha.
What, and not just what they into. What's important to me is what's stressing you out right now. If I know what's stressing you out right now, and not just in work, but even in their personal life. If I know that, I know when I'm following up with them 2 days after they get their haircut, especially new people. So
you follow up with new clients?
Oh, new clients, yeah. Like now, my older clients that have been with me for a while, they haven't had a chance to experience some of the things that I do now.
Okay.
So what I do is I have automation systems that follow up with them. It was great meeting with you. I look forward to the next time you visit, and somewhere in the conversation during the initial visit, I'll try to make a mention of the next time you visit, you can try this service out and they'll be able to do X, Y, and Z. I'll follow up with them 2 days later just to make mention of that. And most of the time, half of the time, they rebook not only for another service, but for the service that we talked about. So it's an upsell right away.
Got upsell. Okay, keyword, upsell. Upsell.
So I try to do simple things like that that they understand that I was paying attention to them. They were important, and I'm offering something that would immediately address something that they were going through.
Gotcha.
I'm not just trying to push off everything that I have in the salon. Matter of fact, I'll turn down certain services if I feel like there's no real benefit.
What would that look like? Give me kind of like an example of when you have had to condense your menu because you saw that it wasn't really a benefit.
Had a client last week. It's his second time booking, and he was sold on the idea of like, man, I get to come here and escape for about an hour, 15 minutes. His hour, 15 minutes was because he was so excited at the large menu of like add-on options that he was scheduling a service that addressed ingrown hairs. He booked it, and he has a full beard with no ingrown hairs. He just wanted to discover what it felt like. So I took that off of the service. I wasn't even going to pretend that he needed it. There was no real benefit that he would feel significantly connected to the service where he would book it again. It was a waste of time. He also booked for color enhancement on his hair and his beard. I took away the color enhancement from the hair because he wears a hat on his head all the time, and he works out. It was gonna sweat out. It was not gonna last him at all, and I lightly enhanced his beard or whatever. But he was so appreciated that I just didn't try to take money from him. He still paid me the amount that he booked for.
And mind you, you're saying you work with entrepreneurs, so people who will work work you into their budget and have possibly a
Yes.
disposable income
Yes.
where if you never said you don't need this, they
Yes.
would have still gotten it.
I definitely want to be a part of somebody's budget. I want to be tithes and offering, mortgage, Michael.
Yep.
That's where I want to fall
Y'all
in there.
heard that. Tithes and offerings, mortgage, Michael, or tithes and offerings, mortgage, Quincee. Just throwing that out there.
Right.
But what I wanted to kind of point out is that you didn't just take money just because they were offering it. You
Right.
really communicated what they needed, and you actually will end up with more money over time from that one client
Mhm.
just because you concentrated on what they needed versus just them booking things just to
book it.
to book it.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think what changed everything that I do behind the chair was I had a mentor, my first mentor, who's like an important part of my life. He pointed out that it was more important to serve people. It was more important to serve people than to show how good I was as a barber, how good I was as a hairstylist. And once I started taking the focus off me and how well I could work my clippers, I started noticing that I would get clients that wouldn't get very much done. I have a particular client that comes in. He wears a bald head, he wears a beard, but he can't take the razor. He can't take the razor on his face, can't take the razor on his beard. So certain aspects of the service that he books, I can't even give him the full experience.
Gotcha.
He doesn't wear anything fancy at all, so I can't really like go in and like put a beard on that I really would like. But he books once a month to come in because he's like, this is the cheapest vacation that I take.
Wow.
And I can get 12 of them a year.
Wow.
So it was more important to not put a great beard on him, but maybe turn the lights down a little bit, let him, put on some relaxing music. He likes to come in and hear new music. So I have music ready when he comes in where it's like he gets to experience like different sounds that he doesn't get a chance to listen to.
Wow.
Close the door and we don't talk.
Wow.
And
Now
I guess what he does
that's the thing,
what he
because-
does for a living, it seems like he's always talking.
Gotcha. Now, our industry, we are a service-based industry. And the service that is marketed the most is our technical skills. That's what people hear when they say service-based business. But what I'm hearing is that if you offer, the service is not just what is being done with the hair or being done with the face or the beard, but it's what's being done with the person.
Yeah.
Because we're serving people. And I think that that's really important to point out because everybody wants to know how to make money in this business. They hear, oh, you're a barber, you're a hairstylist, you make all of this money.
Yeah.
Just because you're good at what you do with your technical skills. But I think that the longevity of what I'm seeing, the longevity in this business is really based upon how you care for people. I remember
Agreed.
having, it was a brand new client that came in, and she's my client till this day, probably been my client for about maybe 3 or 4 years now. And I didn't know what she had going on in her life, and she came and sat in my chair. And normally I'm leery when people come and just get a complete makeover. Because it's like, I don't really know you. I don't know if you're going to burst into tears when I start cutting your hair.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to like this color, but she was very adamant about it. So I made sure that I did the most thorough consultation that I could possibly do to avoid any fallout after the service was over. And I colored her hair, and she got a haircut, and I gave her the mirror, and she burst into tears. And I was like, okay, I did what I could to not make the moment awkward. And she was like, I just moved here, and something had gone on with her son, where her son got sick, and she had just gotten married. So on one hand, there were some great things going on in her life, and on the other hand, there was some really, really sad things going on in her life. And her getting her hair done just made her day. Like, it was like
Wow.
a de-stressor.
Yeah.
And she wasn't crying tears of sadness. She was just like, I have had all of this weight on me for months, and I got my hair done, and it was just such a relief.
That's cool.
So
That's cool.
I've definitely learned, especially from you, that being a service-based business entrepreneur is more about the person than it is about the service.
Yes.
You can be the best stylist, the best barber, and suck at service, and it completely kill your career.
Mm-hmm.
You can be, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, you can be kind of like a medium grade stylist, not even like the best.
No, you can suck.
You can suck. Okay, you can suck at what you do, give a great service, and retain a client.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What would, give me three things that you say would retain a client?
Listening, caring, and offering.
Okay.
Listening to the client's needs, listening to what they're not saying. What was the second one I said?
Listening, caring.
Caring about what they want rather than what you want.
Because, you know, I'm amazing. You can just get what I tell you to get. Because I'm the professional, right?
Caring about what they want, how does it impact the rest of their goals?
Gotcha.
And then offering. Offering is a suggestion. They come into you because they trust that you are the one that could not only provide the service, but your expertise is in that service. Your expertise is in that area. So not just having somebody sit down and, okay, what are you getting done today? Mm-hmm. No, call them up before they get there and say, hey, I saw this look that I think will work great for this project you got coming up. Mm-hmm. So this shows that you've been listening to what they've been talking about. Right. You're actually concerned, and you have a suggestion. That has helped save me from clients that I've completely bombed it on.
Okay.
I've had moments where I've completely stunk it up, and I had to use other soft skills to retain the client, to redeem myself.
Gotcha. So you mean to tell me that you have bombed some stuff?
On your husband.
And I think those are moments that kind of kill our confidence sometimes as stylists. We like, man. And, you know, you never know where it's going to end up. Depending on who the person is, they could tell their friends. At this point, people are writing dissertations on social media about bad experiences.
Crazy.
and it's completely nuts to me. But you talked about soft skills. Like, expound upon that a little bit.
So soft skills are things like communication, things like sales, especially sales, verbiage, the type of language that you use within your business. Hard skills are normally associated with the technical, right? Mm-hmm. So when you talk about we stylists and barbers love to take another class to learn another hard skill. And then you learn this new service thinking like, okay, if I learn how to do this service, this is going to take my career to the next level. So you spend all this money on this service, and you get back to the suite, but you don't have a client to work on. Because they never associated a soft skill. Say, this is how you sell it. This is how you take this new, this new technique and get a clientele off of it. So the soft skill would be connecting that service to a problem that the client has.
Gotcha.
So if you learn a new technique with hair extensions, you have to think about what type of person most likely needs this service. Not wants it, but they need it for them to function. And then you learn that, okay, this type of person needs this service. Why do they need it? What do you understand about the problems and the stresses that's associated with them not having this? Then once you're putting together your marketing content, you're speaking directly to the problems that you understand about what they're going through.
Yeah.
And then you paint a picture of, imagine what your business would be like if you had no worries about your hair. Hair was like, you knew that it stayed intact. What would you be able to do if you didn't have to like always check to make sure, you know, your closure is together, whatever it may be.
Right.
How much stress would that relieve from you? What could you spend that energy focusing on then? And you start painting this picture of what would life have to be, what would life in my career or my personal life be if my hair and my image was completely removed off the equation of what I need to be worried about.
That's a complete marketing strategy.
Yeah, that was game.
That was game. I'm like, if you don't take anything from this video, that was game. Because right now, you know, we think that if we just post a picture of the service, then people are just going to automatically say, I need this. And that doesn't necessarily sell a service. You're selling marketing, you need to sell an answer.
Yeah. What's the story behind it? And so now the challenge with me in soft skills is that it stretches me beyond my comfort zone, because I do not like talking.
Yeah.
I do not like speaking. It is the most uncomfortable thing. I wish that's what got me into technology. That's what got me into online booking. That's what got me, because
I'm an introvert.
Me too. And that's what I gravitate towards it, because the first shop I worked at, second shop I worked at, the owner was real big on, when you weren't busy, go outside, go pass out business cards and get clients.
Ooh, that's one of the things that I'm happy is not a thing anymore, because I would fail, okay?
Yes.
Having to go outside, pass out cards.
So what I did was, maybe this might be a soft skill here, I would do stuff in this particular salon that had a lot of walk-ins.
Okay.
I would, when I wasn't busy, because I didn't want to go outside to pass out cards, I would make myself busy by being a helper to everyone else in the salon. And I would sweep up the hair. And I would sweep the hair closer to my station, where it has a perception of, man, this guy's been busy. Everybody else is clean, like maybe that's their first one. The perception was, I was busy. Hey, can you get me next?
So you around here manipulating the system.
Yes, I was. I definitely was.
But it worked.
Because I was terrified. And it was kind of like one of my mentors. She says that I know how to survive, and I never really thought about it like that. But it was like, for me, what triggered a lot of that was that I was young, married, and had a baby on the way.
So you didn't have a choice but to.
I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And I think what makes a lot of people comfortable in not getting uncomfortable is that they start settling that my career can only be like this. So I'm cool here. Whatever dreams and desires, I couldn't have it anyway, because I don't have whatever it is that we tell ourselves. Like if I had this type of equipment, then I'll do better. Or if I was in this salon, if I lived in this city, we sell ourselves this story that allows us to be, you know, to not really reach our full potential. So not really go after it.
Yeah. So how do you challenge yourself mentally, spiritually, emotionally to push to that next place?
Ooh. What challenged me was when I saw someone half as talented as me that had no concern about people do so much better than me.
Wow.
That was the first thing that was just like, I can do this. If they can do this, then I can do it. Then what pushed me was when someone from the outside, from a whole nother state, who I look up to, called me and point out accurately what I was doing in my business, and says, and he validated and said it was good, it was great, like you're amazing at what you do.
Mm-hmm.
But the challenge was that how could an outsider from another city see something that when I looked in the mirror I couldn't see it myself?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that I have so little value of myself that someone from another state will call just to say, hey, I love what you're doing, and I can't wake up, look in the mirror and say, I got something good going on. Let me tell somebody.
Yeah.
That was the second challenge that started pushing me in that direction. The next thing that happened that pushed me, that was just kind of like there, was I had another baby. And I completely reached the point that what I was making behind the chair couldn't support another child.
Yeah.
So now it became less about me and more about taking care of someone else. And so I took the attention off myself and me trying to find value in myself, and really just started seeing what do I have to offer that's of value to someone else. And then that kind of cut out that part where we try to overhype ourselves. I didn't have to do that because I was able to do this. It served their need. In exchange, they gave me money. I'll book again. That indirectly started building confidence up for me.
Yeah.
So for me, my journey is a little bit different. It wasn't this book. It wasn't this like motivation where I started pumping myself up. It simply came from I got tired.
Yeah.
I got tired of being overlooked. I got tired of being overlooked, and
you were a busy barber.
Yeah, I was busy and making no money.
Ooh, busy and making no money. Because I know we have this saying of booked and busy, but you can be booked, busy, and broke. So you can be booked, busy, and broke. How do you avoid being booked, busy, and broke?
You got to know your numbers.
Numbers.
You got to know your numbers.
And I know that's a challenge for most hairstylists and barbers because we're creatives. You know, as long as we are doing what we love, you know, sometimes we just ignore because we just so passionate. So what would be a good structure? And you don't gotta give us all the good, but what would be a good structure to scale your business so that you're making the money you want to make during the time that you want to work? Because we are entrepreneurs, we make our own schedules. And, you know, it's easy to get into the pattern of just working 12, 15, 16-hour days, 7 days a week, and then really not having a good work-life balance. So how do you scale your business to really make the career that you want, that you desire for your lifestyle?
First thing is you have to know your expenses. You have to know how much does it cost you to run your business. And not the business that you currently have, the business that you need to have to support your goals. Yeah. So I guess the first thing is you got to have some goals. First thing, you got to have some goals, whatever that goal is, because not everybody is into, I want to make X amount of dollars. Some people is, I just don't want to have to work 5 days a week. I only want to work 3 days a week. Whatever that goal is, you have your goal first. Then you need to know how much does it cost you to run your business. It has all aspects of business, not just your rent, not just your booth rent, but your back bar, your retails, your marketing, your website, your online booking, your how much do you need if you want to take off 2 weeks out of the year. You know, whatever the expenses is, make sure you put all of it in there, and then maybe add a little extra to give yourself a cushion. Gotcha. Then you got your personal life. How much does it cost you to live? You got not only your rent and your mortgage, but you got your grocery. Don't just like settle. How do you like to eat? Do you like steak? If you want steak all the time, you want lobster, put it all in there. You got to have some numbers to work with. If you want to take vacation, how much does it cost you to go on vacation? If you get sick, if you got all your insurances, all that stuff, you need to have 2 separate budgets. Gotcha. Business and personal. Add those together. Now you have a yearly target number. In order for me to be able to enjoy this, this is the number that I need to hit. Now you divide that yearly target number by how many weeks do you desire to work throughout the year. Everybody doesn't desire to work 52 weeks. They might want to actually take advantage of the 2 weeks off. You may want to take a month off. That's completely up to you. So you divide it by the number, but just for the sake of the conversation, you divide it by 50 because you're giving yourself a 2-week vacation. Now you have your weekly target number. So in order for you to actually enjoy the things that you have written down on paper, now you have, this is the number that you have to hit. Now, how many days throughout the week do you want to work? Do you want to work 5 days or do you want to do it all in 3 days? Completely up to you. For the sake of conversation, you're doing 5 days. So you're going to divide that weekly target number by 5. That's going to give you your daily target number. Your daily target number, now you're going to divide that by, let's say you just want to work a regular 8-hour day. Most of us work way more than 8 hours, but this makes it easier. So you got an 8-hour work day. You're not going to divide it by 8, you're going to divide it by 7. Now you can change the math on this however you want to, but the formula works. The reason why you're doing 7 instead of 8 because you're giving yourself an hour cushion to just take a break and have lunch, whatever it is. Now that shows you your hourly target number. Now that you have your hourly target number, you know that I have to hit this number every hour on average these many days a week for these many weeks for the year so that I can enjoy these things that I have on my paper.
Game.
Now here's the other part that goes coincide with that. That our target number can represent so many different things. You don't have to, you can break up your service menu into 30-minute increments, hour increments. So let's say your target number end up being you need to make $60 an hour. That $60 an hour, that means that if it takes you an hour to do a wash and blow dry, it takes you an hour to do it, and you've been charging $45 or even $50, then you know that if you was 100% booked doing that one service, you still $10 short, which is going to equal up to $70 short every single day. You're $70 short because you're not priced at the right point. So you know that if it takes you an hour to do a wash and blow dry, which it probably takes longer than that. I know I can't do it in an hour, but you know that you would at least minimum that service has to be $60. Or for those that don't feel like your skill set is up to be $60, which I don't see why, but for the person that still feels like I only feel like my service is worth $40, $45, $50, whatever it is, you got to make up for it in retail sales.
Gotcha.
So you need to couple a $50 sale in the service for an hour with at least $10 in retail sale.
Game. Because pricing is a big deal because we have to check out the market to see like what the market is charging for a service, our location, our cost of living, all of these things that can kind of dictate pricing. And honestly, if I were to just bet 500 people, most of us are probably undercharging versus charging the value just because of the stigma behind, well, if I raise my prices, I'm going to lose clients.
Which is what you want to do.
You want to lose clients.
Yeah.
Why?
So, oftentimes when I've gone to hair schools and I've forced to do speaking engagements, the first thing I
forced to do. Y'all heard that? Well, Mike is forced to do speaking engagements.
If I could text all this, I would definitely text it. But when I have to do any type of speaking, especially students, I try to introduce myself as the most successful, failing business owner that you'll ever meet.
Gotcha.
A couple of reasons why I say I'm successful and I'm failing. I have awards, I have trophies, I have to book an appointment with me is normally 2 to 3 weeks ahead. But the reason why that's bad is because my business is built off me. So that means if I get sick, I have no income coming in. I've built a business that's dependent on my health and my availability. That's hurting.
Yeah.
And the other facet of that is that if I'm booked to capacity, then my business isn't growing. It's just stalling. I have no room to grow. So you have to price yourself accordingly to make room for new people.
Wow.
So that your business can grow and so you can get exposure in different markets. There's so many opportunities that I've missed out to service potentially great clients because I had no room to take them.
Wow. So are you saying you kind of you price yourself to a point where you can lose the necessary amount of clients to gain a higher value of a person?
Exactly.
Because the value is not, I guess what I'm trying to say is your service can be a certain value, but your clients not meet the value of your service, and it can cause you to lose money.
Right.
Or it can cause you to gain money.
It's simply, once I got into doing the numbers, and hopefully anybody watching this, they work the numbers out and work the formulas. If you need help with it, send me a direct message. But once I saw, when I first moved to the suites, I was charging $25 for, basic haircut or whatever. Once I did the numbers, I saw that my business couldn't afford to charge $25 for a basic haircut. Like, I would be out of business.
Yeah.
And it wasn't based upon that's just how I feel. No, I looked at the numbers, and the numbers, like, red shouldn't be a common number that you see when you're doing your budget. Like that, you want to stay black. You want to make sure that you always at least breaking even.
Gotcha.
But if you're doing a business where you're breaking even all the time, that's why you need to factor in how do you want to eat. What's the quality of food you want to buy? What's the quality of what's the quality of life? And you put that in the budget rather than just settling for just enough.
Gotcha. Makes sense to me. I know for myself, I will jump off the mountain without a parachute. Okay. I am a risk taker to my core. Over time, I have learned to take more calculated risks. But in the beginning, I would just jump. Okay.
Just jump, yeah.
And I jumped into Sweet Life without really knowing how to scale my business, without the numbers, without even understanding my value as a stylist and the lifestyle that I wanted to live, the lifestyle I want my children to live, all of that kind of stuff. And I will say that all of what you just said helped me understand how I need to be thinking about my business. Because a lot of times making more money starts right here, right in your mind and in your heart. How you going to prosper starts right here in your mind and in your heart. So I'm going to ask you 2 more questions, and then, we can wrap it up. You are a husband. You have 5 boys? 5 boys, okay? I cannot imagine what y'all's grocery bill looks like. But 5 boys. And your wife is a chef, so I know that all of y'all are just, enjoying your life, okay? Yeah. But you are a husband and you have 5 boys, okay? So what does work-life balance look like?
Non-existent. I gave up on the idea of trying to balance out and make it, because I always failed at it. So I always failed at it, and hasn't worked out. So this is what I've been doing. Okay. I've been trying to include my family in my business. Anything that I get involved in, like take an interest in, especially with my boys. My oldest is into camera and video, so I'm a nerd, I'm a geek. I force him. I say, hey, you're coming with me, just to create time and opportunity where I can indirectly teach him lessons. I can show him how my mind works. I can show him how I would think. So in the event that I'm not around, he knows my dad would do this. My dad would do this. My dad would think this. He would approve this. He would approve that. So that way, Um, um, I don't know when I will expire,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to leave something behind that's something unique and special specifically for him.
Mm-hmm.
I have another son that's into drawing. So when I'm buying tech, but I'm at the core, I'm a geek, I'm a nerd. I like technology and gadgets. But if I'm buying him something, I'm buying him not what I want him to do, but I take up interest of what he's into and incorporate who I am in that purchase of that gift.
Gotcha.
Spend time talking, and I talk their heads off. Like I lecture them all the time. Like, and I do it a lot on purpose. Like sometimes I have to stop myself from chuckling because I know that I'm doing it on purpose. But I know that it's so many things that I missed out on my childhood that I don't know what I'm doing half the time. I'm just trying it.
Mm-hmm.
But I make sure that I'm trying to be transparent so that they would know that it's okay to not have it all figured out. It's okay to not be perfectly balanced because I never want them to feel that pressure of having to be perfect.
Yeah.
I want them to be okay with making a mistake. I want them to not take things as serious as I did because that crippled me.
Yeah.
Now with my wife, God bless her. Because I know how hard it is to deal with me because I'm always going. Like I'm always moving. I'm always on to the next project. I'm never, while someone else could be celebrating something that I did, I'm examining to see what went wrong so that I can make improvements. And what I'm learning now, going on 18 years of marriage in about a month and a half or so, is that I have to make time to let her know in a way that she receives that she is not replaced by my business, that she's more important than my business. And what I've discovered is that I had a hard time trying to figure out how to do it perfectly.
Yeah.
But what I realized what she needed was to just know that that was at least on my mind. So even in the efforts where I mess up at and it doesn't communicate, she can see my efforts.
Yeah.
And that's made a lasting impact on even how we're moving now. We have our ups and downs, and sometimes it gets really, really hard. But the one thing that I try to make sure that I'm communicating is that I'm doing it for them.
Yeah.
And then leave room where she's called me out. Nope, that was really for you. And be open enough to receive it and check myself and make adjustments because none of this that I'm doing in my career makes any sense if my children grow up despising their last name because their father was absent and because the husband had another wife, aka my business.
And I think that speaks a lot to not just the creative person, but the workaholic, the one who is really passionate about their business, but also really wants to love their family. Because I'm same here, and I live in a house with another creative. So projects have to have a balance. Who's working on their project at what time?
Yeah.
Because one thing you said that we've also adopted in my house is that we just kind of invite each other into whatever process is happening with the business.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is I can sing, so it's easy for me to be a part of whatever my husband is doing, but it's not always easy for him to understand what I'm doing because he has no interest in hair. Now he can tell if somebody's wearing extensions or not after years of, just after years of just pointing stuff out. But I think it's really important for that mom, that dad, that husband, that wife to know that balance is relative.
Exactly.
It's completely relative to the season you're in, to what your child is in need of, and bringing them in versus trying to meet them wherever they are. It's kind of like there's an even exchange. Like I'm interested in what you're doing, and I'm exposing you to what I'm doing, so that we can kind of relate on some level.
Yeah.
At whatever time. And it's more, what I've kind of learned that it's more about the quality of the time that you're spending together versus the quantity.
You want to have a story what's the story behind your business? Why would someone come to this barbershop as opposed to this barbershop, this stylist as opposed to this stylist? And it's the story that I'm able to tell. And the reason why I'm not going into specific stories because the story can change at any given moment. But and it's not that I'm lying or making it up. Yeah. It's just that it adjusts. The story adjusts to the particular market that I'm in. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's all about the client and their work life and what's important to them. Mm-hmm. And my business is a aid. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the story could be about men and their beards. Yeah. And them growing it out or them wishing that they had a beard mm-hmm. to grow out and being able to tell a story that I identify with that. So it would be the ability to tell stories. Because that's what people buy. They buy a story.
Absolutely.
Fourth thing that I believe that is of value to have a tool would be something somewhere in your budget where you set money aside for education, and not like $20, mm-hmm. $50. Mm-hmm. That's good. That's okay. But when I started investing a significant amount of money into my mind, yeah, it transformed everything about how my business operates. Yeah. So,
do you spend more money on technical skills, or do you spend more money on branding, marketing, how to create atmosphere, anything other than technical skills?
I spend more money on everything else besides technical skills.
Game.
I am fascinated. I can't use this now in my current business, but I am fascinated with the hotel industry. Fascinated by it, and somebody else, they can take this, but if I open up a shop, mm-hmm. if I open up a salon suite, the person that I would want at the front desk, I would want them to be from the hotel industry.
I'm not even gonna have you expound upon why. That's something that you guys can fill in the blank, because that changes the game on how you run business and why the person at the front desk is the most important person in the room. Yeah. The most important part of the business.
I don't want nobody from nobody's hair school. I don't want no little cousin that's thinking about. I would pay. Yeah, you can put me on camera saying this. I would pay salary to the person at the front desk, because that's the most important person of the business mm-hmm. when you have a salon environment. Mm-hmm. And I think that can translate over to salon suites. Yeah. Haven't seen it yet, but I've seen one salon suite model that tries to implement it, mm-hmm. and I feel like they got it. But they're onto something. But they always seem to hire somebody from the schools. And the person, you got me expounding on that. the person from the school that's getting into the industry, their desire is, when is it my turn? Yeah. Yep. So they're not focused on the needs of the business. They just mm-hmm. want to know, when is it my turn? Mm-hmm. Person from the hospitality industry, their only job is to be welcoming. Yes. Give the client what they need. The person at the front desk is just always about the experience. Yeah. What's gonna bring this person back in? Yeah. Yeah. Period. Outside of the service. And the last thing is, this may not work for everybody, but I feel like it can. I think everybody should have a gadget. Everybody should have a gadget in their space when they work. Because if you can get someone to say, wow, what's that? You got control. If you can get people to ask questions, you can start selling stuff.
This is the non-techie person over here, like, okay.
And it doesn't have to always be electronic. It could be, if you like essential oils and it's a certain kind of fancy diffuser, mm-hmm. get them to ask questions like, mm-hmm. Why this $80 diffuser as opposed to the $20 one that's at Walmart? Now you can start telling stories about what you love about essential oils and how it benefits you. And then especially if you use it in your business, now you've given that client something to remember to take outside of the salon, where in conversation with other people, they run into a random conversation about essential oils. They can say, oh yeah, my hairstylist or my barber was talking, they remember you.
Yeah.
If I use a Bose radio, little small speaker that look like it shouldn't sound the way that it sounds. So now when the guys are out at Best Buy and they see Bose, they associate that brand. Their first experience was with me. All I'm simply doing is I'm taking ordinary little things that people would find outside of the salon and associate me with that thing.
That's absolutely genius. Absolutely genius. I'm thinking right now, what am I gonna get to stay on my client's mind? But I think that one of the biggest things that has been communicated is value. You can't say it enough. Challenge yourself to consider the value of every step that is taken in your business to build the career you want. So I just want to thank you for always being willing to just be on my team.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
And freely give information. So let us know where we can find you, and things that some of you got coming up. I know you have the barber shed, which is amazing. I'm a stylist and I went to the barber shed. I do not cut hair to the capacity that barbers do. I do cut hair. But I learned so much, and I probably was only one of 2 women in the room at the time, and I learned a lot.
Oh, right there.
So, where you can find me online, is always on my website, www.artgalleryimagestudio.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Art Gallery Image Studio, on IG. On Facebook. And if you want to know specifically what's going on with me as an individual, what I got going on, whether it's with Barbershop, like Quincee said, or with my business, Art Gallery Image Studio, or anything else I got going on, my personal is the hair cutter on Instagram. You just type in the hair cutter and you'll be able to find me, my stories, anything new I got going on. Going into 2021, things are going to be a little bit different because I'm reluctant to say I'm moving into coaching, because now coaching is the new trend that people are being screwed over by. and I'm reluctant to call myself a coach. Let's just say I'm just another guy just like you that got a couple of more years of experience that's just willing to share some information and to hear your story to help better your business so that you can attract and retain a profitable clientele.
Sounds like a coach, guru, mentor to me.
Thank you so much.
But thank you so much. And you can find me online at Quincee Booker. I'm not going to give all the extra stuff that I'll be doing in 2021, but just follow me on Instagram at Quincee Booker, and you'll see what's coming up next. But thanks again, Mike, for giving us some game. Once again, he's been in the industry for 20 years. He's now a suite owner and moving into coaching, but we're not going to say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just check it out.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
And I heard from another video, I was watching some educational stuff. They said take time to record just the sound of the room for like 30 seconds. So we just quiet for 30 seconds.